Hello there, young Padawan. So you've graduated from Youngling and you're ready for your first lightsaber. I'm Jedi Master Galuf, and I'm going to be your guide. This is going to be the first in a multi-video series for lightsabers for beginners. I tried to do this video earlier, and I actually, it was just ended up being too long, and I really want to make this a series of really easily digestible, quick-to-watch videos that'll give you some tips on, if you're just now getting into the lightsaber hobby, where I recommend and that sort of thing. So I'm going to break it down into 4 parts. So today we're going to talk about the different types of lightsabers. And what I mean by that is the, single-bladed, double-bladed, that kind of in-universe type, but also things like, what's a stunt saber? What's a shelf queen? You're going to hear a lot of those terms if you hang out in lightsaber groups long enough. And so I'm going to kind of give my interpretation of what those are. The second part video is going to talk about the anatomy of the most common lightsabers. So you're going to go over like the different parts of a lightsaber, what most commonly the internals look like. Again, I'm not an expert on everything that's out there, but I'm going to hit on what I experienced as most common. The third part is going to talk about some common features of the lightsabers. And then the final part is going to talk about not only customization, but in that final part, I'm going to actually discuss my recommendations for certain companies that I've had great experiences with and that I highly recommend for anyone just starting into the saber hobby. Just off the bat, I will say that in this video series, there's certain things I'm not going to talk about, like sabersmiths and other companies out there that have more high-end, what I would consider intermediate or expert level lightsabers that take a lot more and honestly cost a lot more. I don't have a lot of experience with that, so I'm really not going to talk about it. But let's get into today's video, which we're going to talk about types of lightsabers. So the most common type of lightsaber that you're going to see is a single-bladed lightsaber like this. And it just comprises the main hilt, which is usually between 9 to 10, most commonly, maybe 11, 12 inches long. You can get them much longer, but really anywhere between 9 to 12 inches is most common. And again, by far the most common lightsaber that you'll see out there is this single-bladed lightsaber. And the most common length for a single lightsaber is between 32 and 36 inches. I think Saberforge has 37-inch blades. Honestly, I don't like the super long blades. I think a lot of us prefer the 32 is pretty good for balance, spinning, and it looks, pretty fairly movie accurate. So then you have, it's called a Shoto lightsaber. Ahsoka used this in the Clone Wars. She had that offhand lightsaber that was a lot shorter. So in this case, this is 24 inches. And it's mainly used for defense. And really, that saber isn't really something that you get separate. I know, again, to mention Saberforge again, I don't have a lot of experience with Saberforge, but I have seen, I think they're one of the only vendors that specifically sell Shotos, which are just miniature versions of their others. But most other saber companies, you just get like Ultra Sabers also has like their initiate or apprentice lightsabers. You're going to hear a lot of those kind of terms, but all that means is it's just a smaller lightsaber, typically one-handed. You can hold this one with 2 hands pretty comfortably, but a Shoto lightsaber is typically just one-handed for your offhand. And then just a shorter blade size. Next would be the double-bladed lightsaber, or the saber staff is also common. And then, of course, Darth Maul is very popular for having this. In most cases, you can get some lightsabers on the market that have a single set of electronics, so 1 soundboard, 1 speaker, 1 switch, but the vast majority have 2 separate lightsabers, which in this case is what I have. So they're 2 independent lightsabers. They have their own full electronics, but they are coupled together as one. And that brings me to the next type, and that would be paired. So paired lightsabers are exactly that. They're just 2 lightsabers that typically are identical, that you can wield in both hands. So, usually a pair of longer Shotos with Full-length blades are going to be your paired lightsaber. My Jedi character actually uses this staff that can be coupled as a pair, very similar to Jedi Fallen Order. The next saber that you'll see that you can get on the market is the crossguard lightsaber. Let me turn that on. Of course, very made popular by The Force Awakens with Kylo Ren. Now these are going to be a little bit more expensive because they do have multiple housings for LEDs, or if you're getting NeoPixel, they're going to have those pixel blades. I'll get into the differences between baselit lightsabers and NeoPixels a little bit in a later video. Then another common lightsaber that you'll see, at least you'll see occasionally in the Legends material in Star Wars, but is a saber pike or a saber glaive, and all that is just, it's the lightsaber hilt, but it's got a much longer handle. I'm going to put a link in this video in the description or in the comments for my glaive. I didn't want to get it out with all that I wanted to go over, but I'll just put a link in there if you want to go ahead and see what a lightsaber glaive is. But usually it's just got one blade on a long pole arm. And now we'll quickly go over some of the types of lightsabers that you might hear people say. This is what you might call a replica saber because it does look like Luke Skywalker's lightsaber. None of my other lightsabers really look like that. They're more custom, but a replica just sounds like that. It's supposed to look like a movie lightsaber. This could also be considered a shelf queen, and a shelf queen is basically a saber that usually they're a little bit more expensive. They usually just stay on the shelf and look pretty. This particular one is very similar to that because it has this thin neck and it is NeoPixel. I don't duel with it. This is actually my son's saber, and he just keeps this top of his shelf. Another example of a shelf queen for me is this Ultra Saber. I got started with Ultra Sabers. We'll talk more about the different companies in a later video, but I pretty much just have this as a shelf queen because I have a flat acrylic blade like the Dark Saber. You also heard both of those had sound. So, that's another thing that you're going to hear, sound saber. Although nowadays, most sabers that are on the market, they're going to automatically come with sound. So you really don't have to look for that. It's actually pretty rare to find what's called just a stunt saber. I know Saberforge and Ultra Saber still sell them, but there's a lot of companies out there that the technology's just gotten so affordable that having the full internals with sound and everything is just so common. But a stunt saber is not going to have sound. It's just going to be basically a flashlight. It's got an LED, a battery, and a button. And the advantage of a stunt saber, and it usually has a thicker blade. So all of these blades actually have 1 inch outer diameter. Actually, this one's 7/8 inch. It's a little thinner, which makes it lighter. But most that you'll find out there have a 1 inch blade, and then with a thicker blade stock, this being heavy grade, there's also mid grade. It's just a thinner polycarbonate. But a stunt saber, because it has simpler electronics, a thicker blade, you can actually go out and beat the Sith out of each other, and you don't have to really worry about breaking the complicated electronics. Or if it does break, stunt sabers are usually a lot cheaper. I got this one at the POC store. Actually, I got this secondhand because the POC store doesn't sell this anymore, which kind of goes back to what I was saying. Stunt sabers are either harder to find, or the companies that still sell them are selling them pretty much for the same cost as a full sound saber. For example, this Shoto saber it costs about the same as an Ultra Sabers Initiate or a Saberforge Shoto. This costs the same, and it has sound, full color changing and everything. A lot of stunt sabers just have one color. And of course, a lot of sabers can be multiple things. So, for example, a cosplay saber, which this is specifically for my Jedi character. So while I have all these other sabers that are fun to swing around and have on the shelf, whenever I actually dress as my Jedi character, this is the saber I go to. It's more customized to my taste. It's personalized. So usually cosplay sabers will be customized unless you're specifically cosplaying as, say, Luke Skywalker. Now, like I said, they can kind of mix. So, if I was cosplaying as Luke Skywalker, this would be it, but this could also be a Shelf Queen. You can get this model, or a very similar inspired model that's a stunt saber. So, you can kind of mix and match a lot of things. So really the key is, know what you're going to use your saber for, and get something that's close. If you are planning on dueling with it, I would get something a little on the cheaper end. If you really want something that's just really special and showy, I would get a replica that maybe has NeoPixel. But at the end of the day, that's going to be your call. And I think that kind of wraps it up for the different types of lightsabers. So next time we're going to talk about the different anatomy and some of the common tech features. And may the Force be with you.